Welcome back to Good Morning KU Sports. I'm your host, Colton Kinnan. Today on the show, Jack tells us about what is going wrong with Kansas football. Ryan will show some of the true freshmen that are showing out on Saturdays, and Jack gives us an update on the stadium progress. Jack, what's going wrong with KU football?
Thanks, Colton. The nightmare start for Kansas football continued on Saturday in a 38-27 loss against TCU. This marks 4 straight losses for the Jayhawks, and what was amped up to be the year Kansas competed for the Big 12 championship and a spot in the first college football 12-team playoff. TCU dominated Kansas in all areas of the game. The Horned Frogs had 507 total yards compared to the Jayhawks' 346. TCU sophomore quarterback Josh Hoover carved up the Kansas defense, throwing for 356 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. The only thing Kansas really showed flashes of on Saturday was their ability to force turnovers. The Kansas defense forced 3 turnovers, a fumble on TCU's first offensive drive of the game, and 2 interceptions coming from senior safety O.J. Burrows and senior cornerback Mello Dotson. Kansas redshirt junior quarterback Jalen Daniels arguably had his worst game in a Kansas jersey. He completed only 44% of his passes, throwing for 179 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. This is yet another week of Kansas fans wondering what's the issue with a player who was once looked at as one of the best quarterbacks in all of the Big 12. Daniels has 8 interceptions already this year, and the Kansas, up until Saturday, has struggled to force turnovers. Questions are flying about whether offensive coordinator Jeff Grimes is the right man for the job, or whether Daniels should be benched in favor of redshirt freshman Cole Ballard, who started 2 games last season for the Jayhawks. It has been a roller coaster of a season so far, but there is still so much to play for. Kansas will take on Arizona State Saturday at 7 p.m. Now, I'll hand it over to Ryan to learn about some freshmen taking college football by storm.
Thanks, Jack. In a sport like college football, it is no secret that you have to earn your way up the depth chart as you progress through the program. As a freshman, it's pretty rare that you get a good amount of playing time, let alone being major contributors on some of the nation's top teams. In the not-too-distant past, there have been exceptions. Guys like Garrett Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, and Derek Stingley Jr. were all true freshmen who were key players in their team's respective seasons. We obviously can't forget about the iconic 2nd and 26 play in the 2017 National Championship that was made by Tua Tagovailoa and Devontae Smith, both of whom were freshmen as well. In most years, college football's biggest superstars are usually upperclassmen or guys who have at least a season of experience as a starter under their belt. But based on what we've seen so far in the 2024 season, more true freshmen than ever have emerged as superstars and are up there in conversations for best player in the country already. I'm going to break down 6 of those players who are quickly making themselves a household name in college football. Let's get started with South Carolina edge rusher Dylan Stewart. The Washington, D.C. native is a freak athlete and has been a monster on the Gamecocks' defensive front so far this season. I mean, look at him. He uses agility to get around the right tackle untouched and read the quarterback perfectly for a sack. He also showcases his speed and power by bullying the left tackle and spinning away from him to force the quarterback outside the pocket. His high-level agility, speed, and power are well beyond his years, and he will only get better as he develops. Next up, we have a pair of Texas Longhorns who have made their presence felt in their young college careers. Linebacker Colin Simmons has been a nightmare for opposing defenses thus far. The Dallas native has racked up 13 tackles with 4 sacks and a forced fumble. As shown in this clip, he handily beats the Michigan tackle and then clobbers the quarterback for an easy sack. He checks all the boxes of traits you want in an elite linebacker. On the other side of the ball, wide receiver Ryan Wingo out of St. Louis is one of the many offensive weapons for the Horns that have made noise this season. He has above average height and size for a wide receiver and is a big play threat anytime the ball is in his hands due to his speed, elusiveness, and ability to break tackles. Look at him elude a defender and break multiple tackles en route to a big gain here. No doubt Coach Sark is glad to have these 2 around in Austin. You can't talk about true freshmen in college football without bringing up Nebraska quarterback Dylan Raiola, who has brought some much-needed swagger back into the Cornhuskers program. Raiola is a Husker legacy and a programming-changing player that fans have been waiting a long time for, and so far he has not disappointed. While there is still plenty of room for improvement for the inexperienced QB, Raiola has every physical trait you could want in a quarterback. Arm strength, athleticism, accuracy, improvisation, and IQ are all present. Here you see him throw a dime with pressure in his face for a touchdown, and then later lob a deep ball on the run to only where the receiver can snag it for a big gain. Raiola has already surpassed 1,000 yards passing on the season, and if he continues to improve, the Huskers will be a major player in the Big Ten race in the coming years. If you're a college football fan or football fan in general, Jeremiah Smith was a household name before he ever even took a snap for the Buckeyes. The younger cousin of Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith might start at wide receiver for most NFL teams right now. Yes, I know that sounds crazy, but it could very well be true. Ohio State has a proud tradition of producing elite wide receivers with the likes of Marvin Harrison Jr., Garrett Wilson, Terry McLaurin, among many others. It's early, but Smith might be the best ever to come out of Columbus at that position when it's all said and done, as he draws comparison to guys like Julio Jones. Look at this Calvin Johnson-esque catch from Smith as he mosses two Michigan State defenders. And if you think that was nasty, this one-handed touchdown snag, that same drive might be a catch of the year contender. The speed, size, route running, and catch radius are not normal for a true freshman. And Buckeye fans have got to be excited for what the future holds with Smith donning the scarlet and gray. Last but not least, the player that has the entire sports world raving, Ryan Williams. The 17-year-old, yes, you heard me right, is an explosive play waiting to happen for the Crimson Tide and is averaging an absurd 30 yards per catch. He may be a little undersized, but that's normal for a 17-year-old playing college football. Williams' elite body control, lateral quickness, and speed making him a special talent, showcased here by one of the more impressive plays I've ever seen from a college wide receiver in quite some time. I'll let Chris Fowler take it from here.
At the start of this game, he's got to have it right now, and they take a downfield shot, and the catch is made. It's Ryan Williams, still spinning free. Touchdown, Alabama!
I mean, to be doing that at 17 years old in a game with stakes like the one that had is pretty mind-boggling. While these 6 players will have NFL front offices frothing at the mouth in 2027 for the draft, college football fans will be in for a treat these next few years with these players making otherworldly plays on Saturdays in the fall. We now transition to some NFL talk with Colton on the top 5 celebrations of the season.
Now we are going to take a look at 5 of the most interesting celebrations from the NFL this season. So as I was talking about, the first celebration we're going to look at is Jameson Williams' long touchdown pass from Jared Goff, and he does what is known as the bobble walk. The bobble walk has been used by multiple players, most notably Jerry Jeudy, but Jameson Williams killed it right here. Now our 4th most interesting celebration goes to Xavier Legette. Xavier Legette's first NFL touchdown was against the Bengals, and as you see on this graphic right here, he catches the pass from Andy Dalton. Dalton rolls to the left, throws it to Legette, and his first NFL celebration is him riding a horse. Now, I don't know if that would be my first NFL celebration, but hey, he's the one catching touchdowns, and I'm the one talking about it, so he can do whatever he wants. Now to our next graphic, we go to another rookie who threw their first touchdown, and it's Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels finds his offensive lineman, Scott, on the left side of the end zone, and Scott and Daniels go absolutely nuclear. Scott jumps for joy. As you see right here, I don't know what to call that either, but hey, once again, he's the one catching the touchdowns, and I wonder actually who kept the ball. That's his first touchdown catch, and Jaden Daniels, that's his first touchdown throw. Now for our number 2 most awkward, interesting celebrations is Amon-Ra St. Brown. And I'll just go ahead and let you watch this. I don't know what that is, and it honestly kind of makes me laugh. He's kind of maybe crawling like a dog. I don't know, but nonetheless, the Lions won that game, so his touchdowns are worth celebrating right there. But now we go to number 1 on the most interesting NFL touchdown celebrations this season. So we go ahead and take a look. It's Tyreek Hill in week 1, and it is 7 hours after he got detained by the police, and boom, he does the handcuff celebration in Miami. Now that's pretty interesting, pretty risky, as he did get fined for that, but hey, Dolphins won that game on a game-winning field goal, and that's their only win of the season. Now that's it for our top 5 most interesting celebrations of the NFL season. Now we're going to go ahead and head it over to Luke.
Thank you, Colton. We are now in week 5 of the NFL season, and a lot has happened so far. Many teams have proven people wrong and exceeded their expectations, and some have started to fall apart, and there are a few clear Super Bowl contenders so far. We have also seen a crazy number of injuries to start the season, with many stars going down for weeks or the entire season. Although unfortunate, I'm here to talk about one team specifically, the Chiefs. As of right now, they are the only other undefeated team besides the Vikings, but their wins haven't really been that pretty. In week 1, we saw Isaiah Likely out by just a toe on the last play of the game, and the following weeks have either come down to the last play or the last drive, so it's safe to say it's been a few stressful weeks for Chiefs fans. They could easily be 1-3 or 0-4, but have found a way to win like championship teams do. During their win over the Bengals, the Chiefs lost Isaiah Pacheco to a fractured fibula, and he will now be out for most of the season. To make things worse, just 2 weeks later, we saw Mahomes throw a pick to the Chargers defense, and when he tried to recover the ball, he ran straight into Rashee Rice's knees, and he went down. And Rice was coming out to be a star receiver this year, which will be a huge loss unless the Chiefs can make a trade before the deadline for a top-tier receiver. They did make a move for running back, however, by signing Kareem Hunt, who has been looking great so far, but the offense has still not been looking as good as it did last year. Getting the turnover problem under control will solve most of their problems on offense and help the defense out, as they have been playing amazing to start the season. I wouldn't say it's time to panic just yet on this team because they are still under Andy Reid and find ways to win in tough situations. We'll see them play next on Monday Night Football, and it will be fun to see what Steve Spagnuolo and his defense can do against the Saints and their high-powered offense. Now heading back over to Colton.
Thanks, Luke. Yeah, maybe the Chiefs can trade for someone like Amari Cooper or Devontae Adams. But coming up after the break, Zach, Tyler, and Caden talked about the hectic baseball we've seen so far this October.
National champions deserve a clean campus. Don't wait for other Jayhawks to pick up your mess. Keep the University of Kansas clean.
Welcome back to Good Morning KU Sports. I'm Tom Rundo, joined alongside Caden Baird and Zach Newkirk. It is the divisional round starting tomorrow. But so far, what have we seen in these wacky playoffs? Caden, tell me more.
Well, I mean, the Mets are the only team to not sweep, which is kind of surprising, especially when I thought the Astros were going to sweep the Tigers. Honestly, it's been pretty good so far, especially for the Royals, the hometown team, the best pitching in baseball with the starters. Just been enjoying it so far. Kind of surprised that the Brewers didn't, come out with the win in there in the ninth, gave up 4 runs. But what about you?
Yeah, so I'd just like to say that I did correctly pick the Tigers over the Astros. They looked really good. They're still hot, so we're excited to see what they do in the next round. And once again, I'm a Royals fan, so pretty excited about how that series looked. But yeah, I'm just excited to see how things go this week.
Yeah, we could flash the postseason graphic right now. Our predictions, well, we all had Milwaukee winning the first round, which kind of not our fault. We thought Arizona was going to be the team in the 6th seed. They ended up not being, so we all correctly predicted that wrong. The Padres swept. We all had the Padres winning 2-1, so that's a point for all of us. And then I forgot how to pick because I just thought Baltimore was going to beat the Royals, and I thought Houston was going to beat Detroit. So you guys both correctly got the Royals, and you correctly got Detroit. So you're at 3 points, Zach. Caden, you're at 2. I'm at 1. Now for this week, Tigers Guardians. Let's start out. One thing I noticed, the common theme with our picks this week is I pick different than you guys most of the time. So I have Tigers over the Guardians. Caden, why don't you tell me why you think you have the Guardians over the Tigers?
Well, I think it's just going to be the welcome to playoff moment for the Detroit Tigers. They're a Cinderella team. It's been nice for them so far, and Tariq Skubal is the best pitcher in baseball, clearly shown after the series. But they just don't have the firepower to keep up with the Guardians. I don't think Jose Ramirez is the best hitter in baseball, and so whenever Tariq does go out, that's gonna show up. And I don't think this pitching chaos that they're kind of using right now, ever since August, is gonna really work out for them in the postseason. Like going on against these teams that are hotter, they're healthier. So I just don't think. I think it's probably the end of the story for them.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. I'm taking the Guardians here. I think the Guardians, like I said last week, have a great bullpen, pretty great pitching all around. And while the Tigers are hot, and I like to pick the hot teams, I think this is where their luck runs out. I think Skubal is great, obviously, but once they get past him in the starting lineup, it's a little iffy. And I just think the Guardians have more depth. They have more offense with Jose Ramirez, Steven Kwan, and Josh Naylor. And I just think they have the firepower to knock out the Tigers.
The crazier part for me is not that I picked the Tigers, but I also have them winning in 4 games. So I'm going to start defending that. Skubal is pitching, and he will be pitching in Cleveland at some point, either game 1 or 2. I think that is, I wouldn't call it a guaranteed win, but I do like Tariq Skubal. He's the best pitcher in the MLB, and I think they'll take at least 1 game on the road. Tanner Bybee is their starter for Game 1 for the Guardians, and he didn't miss a single start all year, had a 3.48 ERA, but this is the longest break in between starts he's had all year. He has a 10-day break, and the Guardians have not played since September 28th. Their last game against Houston was canceled. So a team that played 2 playoff games already have been the hottest team in baseball, and they have to go against a team that hasn't played in almost a week. So that, to me, will have the advantage for the Tigers, who might jump out to an early lead in this series. And then Tariq Skubal, that's a game you win. I think the Guardians may take one in Detroit, but there's a chance the Tigers go up 2-0 in the series, just like they did in the first round. I also got to defend myself again. Now, I think I have a little bit more rationale. As the Royals play the Yankees, and I have the Yankees sweeping. Now, I'm not from Kansas City. I don't have any ties to the Royals, so I do have reasons to pick the Yankees. And look, the Royals pitching was fantastic week 1. No question about it. But they put up 3 runs in their wild card games. And you were going up against a team of Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Garrett Cole and company. That's just not going to do it. The Yankees have averaged 5.5 runs in their last 10 games. And with Soto and Judge, you have to pitch to one of them. And that, to me, is going to be the difference in the series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do have the Royals going. I am a hometown kid, so that could be a little bit of it. But I think, just like you said, Cole Reagan, Seth Lugo, best 1-2 punch in baseball when it comes to pitching. Lucas Ursig, Michael Wacha, also great pitchers, have been dominant throughout the playoffs so far. They only gave up 1 run in 2 games to Baltimore. I mean, it's been pretty good for them so far. But I think this pick comes down to, and I do have the Royals, I think this pick comes down to just the stars playing like stars. I mean, Bobby Witt has been good. Vinny Pasquantino has been good coming off the surgery. Salvi's been great. Michael Massey got 3 hits in 2 games against Baltimore, which is pretty good, and he's the leadoff man. So I just think if they can get that same production from their stars, and then also just get a little bit from maybe Tommy Pham or Paul DeJong, they'll pull this out. It's kind of a wild pick. I know the Yankees are a great team, but I do have the Royals coming out in 3-1.
Yeah, and I, as a Royals fan, am unfortunately going with the Yankees here. I think the Yankees just have the roster to do it. I think the Royals, like Caden said, the pitching is phenomenal, and we saw that against Baltimore. But also, the bats just need to get going, and I don't think the offense is strong enough to keep up with New York's high-powered hitting. So, yeah.
All right, and well, we have the Mets and Phillies real quick. I have the Mets winning 3-2. The fact that Nolan Wheeler have lost 12 of their last 15 games against the Mets, I think that speaks volume. You guys both had Philly winning that, and I have the Dodgers really winning it all. Anyone have any thoughts on that part?
On the Dodgers winning?
On Dodgers winning it all. I have the Dodgers beating the Padres. It'll be a good series, but I have the Dodgers winning it all. Shohei Ohtani, you're not beating him. Walker Buehler's your number 3.
I think we're talking about LA, right?
Correct.
LA versus the Mets or San
Padres.
Diego. Yeah. I have LA winning it. I just think the pitching, it's just purely on pitching when it comes. I think they have the second best pitching staff outside of Philadelphia with Dylan Cease and Michael King. But I don't know. It's going to be like the best entertaining game so far, I think, of the playoffs. I think you have 4 guys on the Dodgers who can go win a game for you anytime. And, Shohei is on there, and he's probably the best or hottest player in baseball right now. I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers win, but I do have the Padres winning just because I think the overall team is more complete.
All right, last question. Who do you have winning it all? Who do you have winning it all? Caden, go ahead.
I do have Philly winning it all over the Yankees.
Last week, I said the Guardians. I know that might be a little hot take. Hope I'm not eating my words on that, but I'm going to stick with them for now. So we'll see.
And believe it or not, I got the Dodgers over the Tigers. I think they make their Cinderella run to the championship, but they will not dethrone the Dodgers. I think they're the best team in baseball. Thank you for joining us, and we're going to throw it over to Colton.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, those divisional series should be good. Personally, I have the Yankees versus Mets in the World Series Battle of New York. But next on Good Morning KU Sports, Jack talks about the Gateway District in Ulyssa will give us a dive into the world of name, image, and likeness.
Welcome back from the break. If you've tuned into social media or just walked around campus, you probably noticed that a good portion of the west side of David Booth, Kansas Memorial Stadium has been completed. A lot of the stands have been put in, as well as the metal arches overhead, which I've been calling stock sweet. Construction for the conference center on the north side of the stadium also began. But what's next? Currently, the east side of the stadium still sits as it was before construction started. KU has acknowledged that it doesn't have enough funds to begin the project. The university's next step is finding a private partner to build a hotel to connect the east side of the stadium to the conference center. However, developers have told KU that it's impossible to build this hotel or anything else on the east side until the actual stadium renovations have been completed. Renovations on the east side will involve moving the stands 80 to 100 feet to the west, creating room for the hotel and all other amenities the university wants to build. This means that KU must find the funds to complete the east side of the stadium before any hotels, restaurants, student housing, or other revenue generators are built. Will phase 1 of the stadium construction be done in time despite these new challenges, or will games in the new stadium be delayed further? We'll have more on this story as it unfolds. Now here's Ulicia with some coverage on NIL.
Thanks, Jack. On September 23rd, UNLV quarterback Matthew Sluka redshirted to preserve his final year of eligibility due to not receiving his promised NIL money. Sluka states he was promised $100,000 by UNLV offensive coordinator Brennan Marion in order to get Sluka's commitment back in January, but he had only received $3,000 of that money. According to NIL regulation, players cannot be promised a certain amount of money in exchange for a commitment, which puts UNLV's coaching staff in hot water if Sluka is telling the truth. In other news, we are seeing lots of changes in college athletics as conference realignment is being more and more common each year. Announced this Tuesday, basketball powerhouse Gonzaga will be joining the Pac-12 conference for the 2026 season, leaving the West Coast Conference in this decision. However, Gonzaga does not have a football program, which means the Pac-12 conference will need to add one more program, ideally from a large football school, in order to meet minimum conference thresholds. Stick around after the break for the weather.
You may not hear it at first, but it's there. Our chant, rising. On this summit, callings converge, voices unify into a chorus that sounds out for good, for greatness. Can you hear it?
Good morning, KU. Welcome back. We're going to be talking about the weather right now. So currently, this is a camera of Manhattan. We're looking out, as you can see, clear skies. There's not a cloud in the sky today, and that's going to be consistent all throughout Kansas. So currently, right now outside of Lawrence, the current weather is 67 degrees. It's sunny, and we have a slight wind from the north-northeast at about 10 miles per hour. So it's a really beautiful day right now. Looking at satellite and radar, as you can see, there are no clouds anywhere near Kansas, out in the Rockies as well. There's a bit of a cold front that actually pushed through overnight that you can see is now traveling through the Illinois area and pushing into Indiana. But for us, we're going to be completely clear, no clouds at all, no worry about any type of weather really impacting the day today. Looking at today's high forecast, we're expecting temperatures to reach about 82 degrees. It's going to be sunny, and the winds are going to stay from the northeast at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And looking at tonight's forecast, we're not going to get super cold. We're going to reach about 60 degrees for our lows. It's going to be mostly clear skies. There might be some clouds that will start to develop into the later, early morning hours, but for the most part, it's going to be relatively clear and the winds will be nice and calm. Now, we have a lot of sports going on tomorrow in Lawrence. We have a couple of softball games during the day, as well as soccer during the evening. So breaking down tomorrow's forecast, we're going to start at about 66 degrees in the morning, and it's going to quickly warm up into the afternoon. Our high will be around 93 degrees at about 3 and 4 o'clock, and then it'll start cooling off below 90 at about 6 o'clock, which is the start time for the soccer game. It will be very, very windy. We're expecting gusts of about 35 miles per hour, so there could be a risk for fire associated with this gust, but it'll just depend on how quick those gusts are and whether or not the conditions are right. We also have a football game tomorrow at Arizona State. Now, you might be seeing the hundreds and panicking. Arizona is very, very dry, so this is a dry 108 degrees. It's not like 108 in Lawrence, but we are expecting 108 around the pregame time. Kickoff will cool off a little bit to about 106, and then by the time we reach the fourth quarter, we're finally going to get down below 100 degrees, but overall, no weather impacting. It'll be nice and sunny for the entire football game. Now, looking at the rest of the sports that we have for the week, the only issue of concern right now is actually the cross-country meet that will be happening this morning. Currently in Indiana, they are experiencing rain as shown by the satellite, and this rain will probably continue for the next couple hours, but it should clear off early in the afternoon. As for the rest of the weather, we're really expecting sunny skies throughout most of the plains. This weekend for women's tennis and women's rowing, we're expecting lower 90s for Oklahoma City and Dallas. But around Lawrence, it'll be about 80 degrees. And into Monday through Wednesday, we're going to have some golf tournaments happening. Now, for the men's golf, the Big 12 match play, it will be in the lower 90s down in Houston. But in Lawrence, for the women's golf tournament, we're expecting highs in the around 80. And looking ahead at our 7-day forecast, as you can see, we are a little bit cooler today, but we're going to heat right back up tomorrow. But we'll experience another little cooling off period through Sunday and Monday. But of course, that's not going to last. We're going to ramp right back up into the upper 80s by the end of next week. Back to you, Colton.
Thanks, Olivia. Looks like it'll be beautiful all next week. And that's a wrap for today's edition of Good Morning KU Sports. Make sure you stick around for Playmakers at noon to see more coverage of the MLB playoffs, Kansas football, and a live shot from the swim and dive team. Tune back in next Friday at 10 a.m. for the next show. Rock Chalk.